And welcome back. Been about a week since I put out my last video. Still have a few videos of the flaps, so I decided to combine them all into one final video. Being that they're all pretty much just finishing up videos for the flap, instead of putting out a couple 3 or 4 minute videos, decided to just combine everything, put it all together, and finish this out. So this video will be a little bit longer than typical. Still try to keep it around 10 minutes. Most people stop watching right around the 3 to 5 minute mark. Some will hold on for a little bit longer. So I try to keep the videos shorter for the most part. So in this video, we're going to be, as I said, finishing out the right flap. Working on putting the top skin on at the moment, and then after that it'll be a matter of putting the bottom skin in place, and then putting the trailing edge into position. The most difficult part of the flaps, really there isn't a very difficult section of it, but probably the most difficult portion is just getting everything lined up and trying to minimize twist. So you'll see a lot of time spent in trying to find hardwood surfaces, using straight edges, things like that to make sure that the flap is actually straight. And what you want to make sure if you don't have a twist in any of your control surfaces. So I spend a lot of time making sure that I have a lot of reinforcements underneath the flaps as I'm starting to rivet everything together to try to make sure that there's no twist that's induced into the flap. So here you see me, I've got a hardwood board on the back side of the flap, and then where I'm riveting on the back plate, I've got supporting material on either side of the back plate also, to try to make sure that the surrounding portion of the flap is also the same height, I guess. So I put a lot of work into making sure that I have a flat surface, or as flat as I can, while putting that together. Now there you saw me measuring the flap attachment subassemblies with my level. It's digital level, so it'll give me degrees that or angle of degrees in a digital readout. And the instructions are just having you make sure that the attachment points are both at the same angle so that there's no induced twist in the frame of the flap. Now I assume if you find that they're off significantly, that there's a way to either twist the flap to get them straightened, or you would have to take the nose apart and figure out how the twist was induced. Fortunately, mine came out, they were within 0.1 degrees of each other, so they're pretty good. Overall, like I said, I put a lot of attention to ensuring that the flaps are set up, flat as can be while attaching, for that very reason. And then here, as you go to put the bottom skins on, the instructions have you put a rivet in every 10th position and then rivet randomly. So normally I would work from the center and work my way out to essentially push the skin outward so it's a smooth surface and you don't get any bulging in between rivets. But this one, and it's had it in a few other places where it has you randomly rivet, but it specifically calls that out, so make sure you're paying attention to that. And like I said, normally you would work from the center out. Now going through, and the majority of the rivets on the bottom skin and the nose are going to be blind rivets, and that's for obvious reasons. You can only get so much access to the panel once you start closing it up. And these blind rivets, for the most part, didn't have any issue with them. There's a couple that were a little hard to set, and I had to get a side cutter and cut off the remaining stem. But for the most part, no issues putting the blind rivets in. So far up to this point of editing this video, I've got kind of in a limbo spot. I've got all the control surfaces done for the right wing. The right wing itself is mostly complete with the exception of putting the bottom skins on and all of the aileron activation pieces, the bell cranks and the tubes and everything. But as far as the physical components, the right wing is done. And I'm still waiting on the fuel tanks. I've got the new strainer piece that I was waiting on for the left tank, so I can finish that up and start closing it up. And I've got one tube of Pro Seal left, and I'm trying to maximize the efficiency of it, I guess is a good way to put it. I don't want to buy another tube if I don't have to. So I'm waiting to get to the left tank ready to close up and test. And then once I test it and find out where its leaks are, then go back and use a Pro Seal and just close everything up. On the right tank, it's pretty much done with the exception of 2 locations where it leaked. And so I just got to get the left tank caught up. Now here I'm working on the trailing edge. I'd made the mistake of applying primer to the trailing edges when I realized that I needed to apply tape to those and they're supposed to be clean. So I had to use acetone and strip off the primer that I had used, and then also use that on the surface that they're going to match to. Now the double-sided tape, I don't know that it's mandatory as far as it doesn't really have a function, unlike like Pro Seal and things like that. The only thing that I've been told is that it's there to help hold the trailing edge in place as you're doing the riveting. And so when I had done the ailerons, I didn't use the double-sided tape, and I went back to look at it and decided it wasn't worth drilling out the rivets and potentially expanding those holes just to put some double-sided tape on there, because it really does have no actual function other than to hold the skins together a little more tightly as you're riveting. And my ailerons came out straight, so I was okay with it. So again, here back to the idea of trying to make sure I have a straight surface. My tabletops, they have a slight bow to the middle of them, and it's to be expected with the support legs where they are and the expanse there. It will have a slight bow. And so I have a hardwood plywood piece that I use for when I need to make sure a long piece is straight. And that's what you saw me do with that long yellow straight edge there, is just to verify that it was indeed a straight surface once I laid it down across the tabletop. So I've applied the adhesive, and now I'm just kind of letting it cure. And you want to let it sit a day or two, is what they say. And so this is a couple days later, working on the bottom skins, again using, as you can tell, pop rivets to close everything up. And then once I get this completed, it will be a matter of back riveting all of the trailing edge together. So it's comes along pretty quickly once you get going. Like I said, this is several videos, probably about 4 hours worth of video compressed down to about 10 minutes. For those who continue to watch this entire video, I appreciate it. That's a lot of video to watch just for putting flaps together. But again, as I've said in the past, I appreciate those who continue to follow these videos. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, by all means, leave them in the messages below. And I tend to get back to anyone with questions as quickly as I can. These videos are something for me to do. They're entertainment for me more than anything else. I like putting these out and let people see what the process of building an RV-14 actually looks like. I have no experience in building airplanes. This is my first attempt at any project of this size. So if you think that you might be interested, I would encourage you to look into it, find your local EAA chapter. talk to some folks, but it's not nearly as difficult as most people think. So I'm going to go ahead and let this video end here. Hopefully I'll have a next video or two out here fairly soon. But again, thanks for watching. If you get a chance, hit that subscribe button for me, and you'll get notifications whenever I put these out. We'll see you next time.